by myself.
I surrender to you.
Yeah.
So many painful thoughts travel through my mind, and I wonder how I will make it through this time.
Yeah.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of Midnight Gladness with Bishop Mac's son. I am Aaron McNair, your host this week. And if you're tuning in for the very first time, welcome. And we hope that something is said that will encourage you, not just throughout the week, but encourage you to watch future episodes or even go back and watch some previous episodes to get you caught up. Again, there's only, maybe 20 total episodes. Half are from my dad, the other half are from me. And they're only 15 minutes long, so you can binge watch them. So good luck. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you for your support. Thank you for continuing to watch. Thank you for your words of encouragement. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for everything. And while I'm thanking people, let me thank my producer. She's not in this for the credit, but I need to give her the credit she deserves. So I call her my producer because I'm just the face, the pretty face behind all of this. But yes, I come up with the concepts, and yes, I come up with the quick messages. However, the music that you hear, the inspirational quotes that you see written, all the graphics, that is my Aunt Bessie, the matriarch of our family, my dad's oldest sister. And she started it with my dad, and she continued to help me through this process. So thank you, Aunt Bessie, for all that you do. We appreciate you. We love you. And we ask that you continue to support Midnight Gladness with Bishop Mac. Now, with that said, as you can see, I'm back in Bishop's pajamas this week. If you watched last week's episode, you noticed I had on basketball gear or basketball paraphernalia, whatever you want to call it. And I had on Boston and LA. Boston was my dad's team. LA is my team. They moved on to the second round, so I'll keep you guys updated as the playoffs continue to move forward. As you know, that's one of the things that my dad and I used to always talk about is sports. We talked about a lot of things, but during this time of the season, we were really going back and forth, as you can imagine, because those two teams are arch rivals. Anyway, so this week's message is called Trust Me. Yes, trust me. And the songs that I have for you guys is I Trust You by James Fortune and I Trust God by Johnny Sanders. So yes, there's two songs. So one is playing at the beginning of this episode, one at the end. And as I've done in the past couple of weeks, is just really share the songs that we play because they should correlate with the message. And that's just been my vision to make sure that, like I said, the songs and the messages kind of match up, because I may not say anything that inspires you, but the song may gravitate towards you. So I will continue to give you the titles, the name of the song, and the author or the artist so that you can listen to it yourself if you so choose. So the message is trust me. And as we customarily do, we share a story about my dad from my perspective, and then I try to give you something encouraging, inspirational from a biblical standpoint. So trust me. When I was younger, I remember getting into a car accident. I think I was in second grade. And the result of that accident, I didn't break any bones or anything. I did chip a tooth, and I had a big old knot on my head. More than likely, I probably had a concussion, but I don't think concussions were very relevant or really looked at back then. However, I had a knot the size of a softball on my forehead. If you can imagine, this forehead is not small as it is. So it was a little bigger with the knot. But as that went away, I started to get migraines, and I got them for years as a kid. And the only way, and for those who get migraines, you probably know what I'm talking about, where the light was affecting me, noise was affecting me. But honestly, the only way that I could feel better, because it made me queasy as well, is to throw up or vomit, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully you don't have a weak stomach when I just say the words. But and I share that because, again, the title is Trust Me. And I think I just had a mental block about vomiting back then. It was just felt like it was always stuck. And the only way that I could actually release that was someone had to stick their hand or their finger down my throat to induce vomiting. And that someone was my dad. And the first time that he mentioned it to me, I was like, no, I'm probably crying. I was a kid, I was a big crybaby. I'm not going to lie. I didn't want him to do it. And he kept saying, you have to trust me. You have to trust me, son. I will never do anything that will deliberately hurt you. I want to help you feel better. You have to trust me. And, it took him some convincing. I did trust him, but I didn't trust him enough to stick those hands down my throat. And for those who knew my dad, he had some humongous hands. And sometimes we felt those hands when we got out of line, but I digress. And he would say, you have to trust me. Don't you trust me? And I'm like, yes. And I don't know, I don't know how long it took him to convince me, but it took him a while. Finally, I got to the point where I felt so bad that I had to let him do it because it was driving me crazy. So when he did it, the release came, I felt better. And then as the years went on, especially, as a child, I just constantly would get those migraines, and vomiting would only make me feel better. And he had to constantly do that. So I guess he trusted me enough not to vomit on his arm. I don't know, but he just did that as a father and just, didn't second guess himself. It was just something he always did. So that's just a quick story. Again, I always, like to share something with you guys, something personal from my perspective of my dad. And then we tie that into something biblical. Trust me. So as I typically do, I'll give you a couple of Bible verses. The first one I'm going to give you is actually my favorite Bible verse of all time. And I'm sure a lot of people have their own favorite Bible verse, but this is my favorite. And I can't really explain why, but it is my favorite Bible verse. And that is Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6. And again, I'll be reading from the New International Version. And for those who have been paying attention, I will stop and read that. Everything else, I kind of free flow as I'm talking, but I want to read it to get it right for you. But I also want you to be able to go back and get some context behind it. So Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. And I think probably the King James Version says direct thy path, whatever. But that is my favorite Bible verse for you guys out there, just so you know. And another Bible verse I will share with you is John 14, chapter 14, verse 1. And this is where Jesus is saying, let not your heart, be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. Trusting in God. Trust me is what he's saying. The last Bible verse I will read, and then we'll talk a little bit about that, is Psalm. And again, for my theologians out there, notice I said Psalm. I didn't say Psalms with an S. And for those who are unaware, a lot of us, for whatever reason, says Psalms. I don't know if I'm not sure why we do that, but the actual book of the Bible is called Psalm. Psalm. So I'm going to read Psalm 91, chapter 91, verse 1 and 2. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Trust me. So there are many situations where God has, provided for us. We've had to trust in him. We don't know when things are going to work out, how they're going to work out. But if we pray and believe in that, God will bring us out. So I say all that just to say, and I'll give you some examples from the Bible that, will demonstrate where people in the Bible trusted in God and how he brought them out. So everybody remembers Daniel in the lion's den. He was brought out from that because he trusted in God. Jonah in the whale's belly was brought out. He trusted in God. Peter out of prison. David defeated Goliath. Lazarus from the grave. Took the shackles off of Paul. He removed the doubt from Thomas. These are just a few examples, and there's many in the Bible of once you trust in the Lord, anything is possible, but you have to believe, you have to trust. And so, I'll close by saying this, because I don't like to keep you long. I want to give you a brief synopsis, give you a chance to go back and read the things that I mentioned or rewatch this if it'll help you. But I say all that to say, if you don't trust, how can it work out? And so I say this, deliverance is to the Bible what jazz music is to Mardi Gras. It is bold. It is brassy. It is everywhere. And in closing, if you've been watching for the past few episodes, my titles will end this perfectly, and then I'll stop talking. So the last 3 episodes, and God is saying to us, just in the title of these episodes, in the meantime, don't worry and trust me. I'm so glad we had this time together. I look forward to next week's episode of Bishop Max, or Midnight Gladness with Bishop Max' son. I love you. I love you. I love you. Have a blessed week.
Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not to thine own understanding.